thank you for doing it.
Yeah, no problem. My name is Masri Fuladi. I'm the advocacy manager at CareLA. I oversee the civil rights, policy, and leadership development departments. So essentially anything that has to do with our advocacy for the Muslim American community in Southern California runs through me in one way or the other. I'm really happy to join you all. Sam actually mentioned that the last time he was here, the room was filled. It was a great event, and he encouraged me to attend. So I'm here. I was actually driving back from UCLA. My sister just graduated. So that's why I got here right in the nick of time. So the topic for discussion today is the challenges the Muslim community is facing with the Muslim ban, immigration issues, fighting hate crimes, and understanding the road ahead from a practical perspective. So I'm going to go through just a little bit of what CARE has been doing since November, probably for 10-15 minutes, and then really open it up to questions, because I feel like that's the best way to engage, especially with a group of this size. If you all have any questions, if you're interested in what else we're doing, or if any other topics come up, I'd be happy to answer them to the best of my knowledge. So leading up to the November election, there was a lot going on in terms of increase in hate crimes, increases in hate incidents that the Muslim community was facing, but the other minorities and impacted communities were also facing. So we thought, okay, if this election were to happen, what can we foresee occurring? What has this administration been promising, campaign or rally after rally? And issues like banning all Muslims from entering the country were obviously present. Issues of a registry were something that we thought we might have to deal with. And then there's issues that the Muslim community has been facing since 9/11 when it comes to civil liberties issues, traveling issues that we thought would again be heightened under this administration. So we had that understanding in mind, and we thought, okay, what is the best way for us to deal with this? There's around 500,000 Muslim Americans in Southern California, and CARE is the only civil rights organization working exclusively on civil rights issues dealing with the Muslim community. So we know that our capacity isn't sufficient to serve this whole community. Let's talk to the ACLU, let's talk to Asian Americans Advancing Justice, the Center for Constitutional Rights, and make sure that we have a good and informed way of going about what we're going to do after January 20th. And one of the biggest issues that we always face is making sure that community members know their rights. So we had this plan of, okay, we'll roll out one Know Your Rights presentation a month, make sure that as these policies are coming down, the Muslim community knows how to deal with them. Then the Muslim ban happened on January 27th, and all chaos broke out. And instead of having that one presentation per month, from January 27th to the end of April, we had about 75 Know Your Rights presentations. And we were busy. We had the ACLU helping us, we had Asian American Advancing Justice helping us, but again, when it's your community, when you feel that pain, you see that the individuals aren't showing up to their mosque, their kids are being bullied at school, they're not sending their kids to school, it really makes you want to do more to help serve them. And another issue that we dealt with for the first time is such wide support from non-Muslims, where we're going to the airport now and 99% of the population there isn't Muslim. And there's 5, 15, 20,000 people showing up. Then there's the Women's March, and you see all these organizations and movements organizing in a way that they haven't done in the past. And it's how do you take this energy and make sure that you're using it in a productive way? So we started doing some policy work around it, saying, okay, there's the sanctuary city movements that are going around. There's anti-registry ordinances that, for example, San Francisco passed, where the city is saying if we were to turn over any individual's information because of their nationality, because of their religion, we'll be liable for X amount, and you can sue us. That's how you can hold us accountable. So try to do the same thing in the city of Los Angeles. But there's other issues, again, like I was saying, that date back to even the Obama administration, that date back to the Bush administration, with people being put on these watch lists, with FBI officers and agents coming out and randomly asking Muslim community members questions. What is your faith? What is your religion? Do you believe X, Y, and Z? Are you a part of this sect or that sect? Things that I don't think any other religious group would ever have to deal with, and things that the government should not be putting their nose into. So wanting to organize around that, again, seeing that, okay, there's a large number of people willing to support on anti-registry issues. How can we make it more well known that these are other issues that the Muslim community is facing? Surveillance issues that have been impacting the Black community, the Muslim community for years now. Let's make sure that we get more attention to these issues. So now we're working with other organizations and working to campaign city council members on these kind of issues in different cities. Then there's other localities who want to work on smaller issues. I want to do a resolution against the Muslim ban because I want to make sure that the Muslims in our city are comfortable enough to go to school. They're comfortable enough to go about the normal business in a normal way. And then we're lucky enough to live in the state of California, where we have actions like SB 54, which is the California Values Act, which again says that the state is not going to cooperate with the federal government when it comes to turning over information about its residents and its citizens. And then we have SB 31, which is the Anti-Registry Act. And just making sure that not only do these pass on the statewide level, but that they have more teeth in these local communities. And then what happens is you have 500,000 Muslims here. You have mosques that serve these communities. You have individuals who don't attend the mosque. And how do you make sure that those leaders, those community members, those active participants know enough to train others? So we're doing these leadership trainings. We're doing community organizing trainings to make sure that these people are informed going forward. And I think one thing that has made it a lot easier for us is seeing the support when it comes to the general population. Seeing that celebrities like America Ferrera and Katy Perry are tweeting about issues that impact the Muslim community. Seeing that our communities are coming even closer to the Latino community, to the Black community, to make sure that we're collaborating with one another to, again, stand for the civil rights of all communities who have been impacted. So that's just a little bit of what we have done, and what we see going forward really is being as aggressive in our approach when it comes to if there's a civil rights violation. Let's make sure that we sue. Let's make sure that we take that legal action that we as Americans can take and we have the right to take. And let's make sure that we're standing strong for the most vulnerable. One thing that always goes overlooked when dealing with the Muslim community is how diverse it is. 30% of the Muslim community in America is African American. You're never going to see that in like the media portrayal of Muslims. The largest growing population of Muslims in America are Latino Muslims. Again, I don't think, unless you're in the know, unless you've interacted with Muslim organizations, most of you know that. So how do we work proactively in the media space, in the communication space, to make sure that that alternate, the true narrative and the alternate narrative is going out about what Muslims really are. That we're a population of 1.6 billion individuals worldwide, and that no one country speaks for any Muslim. And then when issues impact the Muslim community, there's so many issues. So these general topics that I covered obviously impact all Muslims. But then you have, imagine if you're a Somali Muslim who wears a hijab, who visa has expired. So now you're an undocumented Somali Black Muslim with a hijab. You probably have it worse than anyone in this country. And I don't think you really think of, okay, the Muslim community as that individual. That individual has to deal with criminal justice issues. They have to deal with issues that impact the undocumented community. And there is a intersectionality with our community that you can be Latino and face a lot of the issues that the Latino community is facing, and then also have your faith be dragged into it. So I think understanding that as an ally, understanding that as someone who's trying to support the Muslim community, to again just educate individuals is really important, because then you know that, okay, all Muslims aren't the same. There's a wide diversity of them, and then some of them do go to the mosque. Some of them don't. Most Muslims, in studies have shown about 5%, and another study, 1% of Muslims in the United States actually go to a mosque. Most Muslims don't. They go to their university, they go to work, they come home, and they're not really, again, the mosque attending Muslims with a long beard that the media makes you out to be. So those are kind of things that working very closely with the Muslim community you see, and we want to make sure that we're representative of that community. So with that, those are just like a general overview of what we've done, what we've seen. If anyone has questions, I think we can have a discussion, and I can go further into detail about any of these topics. I'm also going to take my jacket off because I'm getting a little hot. Go ahead.
Do you have any insight in general in Orange County, for instance, about the roundups of ICE targeting the Muslim population in particular?
Yes, so actually within the last week, our immigration office has seen an increase in ICE targeting the Muslim community.
In what? I'm sorry, again?
An increase in the ICE.
ICE.
Yeah, targeting the Muslim community. About 3-4 days ago, we became aware of the Iraqi community, and particularly the Christian Iraqi community, facing deportations from ICE. It started in the Detroit, Michigan area, and then we heard reports of it happening in Southern California, LA, and San Diego, because there's large Iraqi populations. Again, these are non-Muslims,
right,
who are being impacted. We haven't had those cases reported to us, and it's essentially because our reputation is in defending the Muslim community, but we have had individuals who are Somali, individuals who are Palestinian, individuals who are Sudanese, reporting to our office saying that we've been picked up, where a family member says that this individual's in a detention center, Tunisian individual. So we have seen that, and I think it stems from the department saying that no one should feel safe. We're going after everyone. There is no priority. And again, in Orange County, we have one of the only county in California that has a MOU, essentially a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Homeland Security, saying that we've been deputized to do your work for you. So the OC sheriff can go around and act like the Department of Homeland Security, because they have a department within OC sheriff that enables for them to do that. And I think maybe less than a month ago, at one of the Board of Supervisors meetings, they added 60 beds to the detention center. 150. Yeah. So we have been seeing an increase. People have been being detained, and I don't see it. I see that trend increasing in Orange County.
I just want to mention that just 2 days ago, the state budget was passed. It hasn't been signed by the government yet, but it includes no expansion of immigration detention in California. And it goes back to the beds that were just expanded in Orange County. They can't do it. The date goes before that, so it won't happen. If the governor signs it.
That's something that we can send an action alert about. Hopefully, yeah, that's great news.
But ICE is a federal, isn't it?
ICE is a federal organization, and what they've done in Orange County is essentially signed a MOU saying that the OC sheriff can act on his behalf, and they've deputized a task force to do that. I'd be interested, honestly, to go look at that budget and see the impacts on federal law and what it can and cannot do, and what the county can't do, because the state can govern what the county would be able to do.
Well, the Orange County Sheriff contracts with ICE, and they won't be able to expand that anymore. We won't be able to do that anymore. Anyway,
That would be.
you can look at it.
Yeah, I'll look it up definitely.
Yeah.
If there was one question, then I'll come to you. Go ahead.
I'm going to plead ignorance a little bit. I just came back from the Middle East on Tuesday, from Israel and Palestine and Jordan. And when I was in Jordan, there was the attack in Iran. to try to stop these types of attacks, either internationally or nationally?
Sure. That's a really good question, and something that most people, again, don't see and how it's being reported on the news. The Muslim community has been the victim of ISIS more than any other community. They're attacking individuals in Iraq. We saw the recent attack in Iran, attacking individuals in Syria. I don't have an accurate number of how many individuals, Muslims have been killed, but upwards of 70,000 have been killed by ISIS, which is a lot more than any other group. There's been a lot of action, so this is about 6-7 years going now, that the Muslim community has been taking to not only identify their actions as un-Islamic. So there was a letter, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that 160 Islamic scholars that are in the United States signed, stating that what ISIS had been doing and addressing their leader, saying that what you are doing is not Islamic, and giving 8 to 10 points of why it wasn't. Then the individuals on the ground fighting the ISIS are often Muslims. They're coming from Muslim majority countries, and they're seeing the direct impact of that. And then you have civil rights organizations like ours, which deal with domestic issues, but anytime an attack happens, standing in solidarity with that community that's being impacted, again, identifying that action as un-Islamic. And then going back to the tenets of the faith and how if in the Quran it clearly says if you kill one individual, it's like you've killed the whole world. So these actions of killing innocents is just not justified in the faith, and I'm just making sure to emphasize that over and over. But again, you're looking at the number of individuals in ISIS and the views that they believe in, which are completely. One thing that one example that I've heard used, which I really like, is they're not extremists, because if you're cooking like a cake and you want to put sugar in it and you put an extreme amount of cake, sugar in it, let's say the recipe calls for 2 cups and you put 10 cups in there, that's extreme. But if you put cyanide in it when the recipe doesn't call for it, that's essentially the analogy of what ISIS is to Islam. What they're saying, what they're doing has no basis or tenets in the faith. And I think the Muslim community, whenever given that opportunity to say that, has said that. It's just that narrative doesn't get really a lot of coverage on mainstream media.
Yep.
I have one question behind here now.
Okay.
No. Yeah, this term Islamophobia, to me it seems a very difficult term to define. I wanted to get your idea of it. I mean, is it a dislike of Islam, a hatred of Islam? Is it a fear of Islam? And if it is it an irrational fear of Islam? And the second part is the religious minorities in the Middle East and other Muslim countries. I'm speaking mostly about Syria and Iraq, and to a lesser extent Egypt, and then Sudan, and on and on and on. Christians, Yazidis, the Baha'i in Iran. Would you consider them to be Islamophobic, or is their fear irrational?
So when talking about what Islamophobia is, the irrational fear of Islam and Muslims would be what the definition is. And what the manifestation of that within the United States has been, look, these individuals, their faith is so perverted, it has these extremist views that all ex-people need to be killed, that there's like this view of wanting to take over the world, which again is not justified in the facts and the numbers and the amount of attacks that have occurred. And so it isn't justified. And the policies that are being brought forward to support these views, and the military-industrial complex is really taking advantage of this to go into these wars in Iraq and Afghanistan in the name of fighting terror, when very similar to what was done domestically with the war on drugs and crime, and how it impacted the black community. This is a structural kind of racism that is taking place and impacting the Muslim community. When you're talking about those minorities, let's say the Baha'i in Iran, it's the one that I'm most familiar with, because I'm